That's right, you are now listening to Tommy Tom's One Mic. Warning, this podcast contains explicit language, triggering or sensitive topics, and controversial discussions. Thank you so much for tuning in to Tommy Tom's One Mic.
I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, flip personality, you know it's I. You never seen my kind, never seen a sliver or a slice. I'm the butcher, choice cuts, know I'm nice. You got beef? I got waggle with a knife. Now I'm gonna be wrapping up bodies up at night. Like Ray Charles, y'all know I'm out of sight. Now I'm gonna be slaying niggas, cause you know I love the life. Yo, you gotta read between the lines. I'm only gonna be moving when I'm read through all the signs. Johnny Mnemonic, I got an upgraded mind. This is for the rebels and the revolutionary minds. Cybernetic linguistics, you know I'm on my mind. Prototype the new dimension, man, that shit is mine. Future is creation and creation is sublime. Make your own legend, only happens with time.
Let's hit the mic.
Hey guys, welcome back to Tommy Tom and One Mic. And today I'm bringing onto the show, I guess you can say, a man that could be called my older brother in a way. Probably my first brother. I have many, but I think he might have the claim to be the very first big brother I've had. I've known this man longer than his youngest brother's been alive, but I'm happy to be reunited with my good friend, Mr. Alexander Lex Berson.
Woo! Hey, definitely a brother in this family for sure. Yeah, you're right in the middle there. You're right. I forget who's older. Is you or Seb?
I am.
You are? Okay. So you that's good because there's a little extra space between Ben and Seb, so like you fit in there really well.
But no, man, it's been a while, pandemic and all. Just the distance. You are, of course, down in Florida, the wild west of or the wild east, you could say.
It is the wild east.
I don't think any state's gotten more Jekyll and Hyde reactions from people where it's like it's the worst place in there, and then it's like, yo, we have to go to Florida, like destination USA.
There's a lot of controversy about Florida here. I mean, it's a swing state. We have a very diverse population, that's for sure. Politically very diverse. I live in Orlando, so there's a lot. There's a lot of blue blood in the city, but there's a lot of people who are in the city or come from outside the city to protest and counter protest. You see these big Trump gatherings still to even today, they gather up and get their flags out and everything. You can tell that the Trump guys are definitely more well funded. They've got much bigger banners, much nicer looking banners than the Biden guys did. But
that's where the budget goes, the banners.
Yeah, I actually think it does. It's a very interesting state. I really like the weather. Much prefer that to snowy New York.
Now, I always laugh about you going down to Florida because I remember the day you left to go down. It was just going to be a trip, I believe, to see Mike down there. It was just going to be a trip. And
I got in an argument at work, and I was just like, I quit. And I packed my car, and there was snow everywhere. I was like, I slipped on some ice in the driveway, and I just packing my car, and I was like, well, that's it. Fuck this place, And I didn't really have a timeline. I just knew that I didn't want to be in New York for a little while, so went to Florida. And a month later, I had a job. So
I think when some of me walked out after that night of just hanging out with you before you're going to leave, we both kind of looked at each other and were like, he's not coming back. He's going down there. He's going to stay down there. That's it. We both agree. And then sure enough, a month later, it's like, he's set up down there. He's good. He's a Florida man now.
Yep. It took me a little while to really embrace it. I wasn't a huge fan. Took me a little while to get used to the heat, I guess, really more like the humidity. But it's actually really beautiful from about late September to May. It's really nice here. And then it gets hot, But for the most part, I really do like the weather down here. And then, thanks to climate change, our summers are pretty much the same as New York summers now. Maybe a little bit more humidity down here. But sometimes I look at the temp and I'm like, oh, it's 95 here, hot day. And I look in, it's like 98 in New York. And I'm like, what is going on here?
But I'm sure you are definitely enjoying the sun. No snow, of course.
Yeah, big time, big time. I've had enough shoveling of snow. I did like 30 years shoveling snow up there. It's okay.
You put in your time. So, it's you retired your shovel.
Yeah, I think I'm done with that. The only time I have to shovel the snow now is during the season when we're working, because pretty much everywhere I got to go, it's going to be colder or snowier than here. It's kind of interesting. We have event managers, events we do with UEP, and they're all based in Orlando here, and a lot of them grew up in Florida. So we'll go out to wherever we're going. We're going to Minneapolis or something. Well, guess what happens in Minneapolis in the winter? Snows sometimes. So, somebody will have the rental car or whatever, and, we'll have that EM who's never driven in snow or something. And I'm like, okay, move over. I got this. I'll get us home. Don't worry.
You had to pull your New York badge out.
Yep, gotta whip it out. I'll tell you, it took me like probably 3 years of living here before I really was like, okay, I handed over my New York license. And I was going up there every year to get the inspection, renew registration or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta go all in. I got my
you got official
license.
Florida plates? You got official Florida plates now?
Yeah, I've had them for years now. Yeah. The insurance it's not, I thought it'd be cheaper. It's kind of cheaper. Thing in Florida is you don't actually have to really have insurance. It's like you gotta kind of be like registered with insurance, but you can have basically no or like the tiniest bit of coverage ever. And yeah, it's cheaper, but it's really like very limited. Like the bare minimum coverage that you can get here is almost ridiculous. Like, why even have, car insurance or something? Also, the big thing down here is the uninsured driver insurance, because we have a lot of
people for you
driving around. Yeah, that don't have insurance or don't even have, licenses or registrations. And they're just like, yeah, I'm just going to drive anyway. So they hit you. That's why they always push this uninsured motorist insurance on you. And it's not a bad idea down here, I'll tell you. Just from talking with some people, I'm like, oh, I guess maybe there are some road hazards down here that aren't quite congruent with New York obstacles. But, that's just another quirk of Florida. I really do like it down here.
Now, you did touch a little, I guess, and briefly on your job and whatnot. And as I told you before we started recording, my joke usually, because it's hard for me to, I guess, explain what you do, is like, well, he films cheerleading competitions, but legally.
That's one of the things. Yep.
So
for UEP,
I want to give you the chance to properly explain what it is you do. So I'll turn it back over to you there.
Okay. Well, yep. Cheerleading. That's a big moneymaker for me. That cheerleading and dance season takes up a lot of my time. From starts getting kicking around here. I just did a couple last weekend, the weekend before. We did some local cheer, but it really starts to get kicking in the next couple months. And then competitive dance starts up really in February. There's a couple before then, but it's pretty busy up until July. But that's basically what I shoot: competitive cheer and competitive dance during that time. And then I shoot a lot of sports otherwise, basically. Anything usually live, I guess, is more like my specialty is live video. I do boom operator stuff as well for live, like gym arm. It's basically like the big crane with the camera on the end with the moving head. That's pretty that's one of those kind of finesse jobs where you gotta like basically do it to get good at it, but it pays a lot. I mean, live gym stuff is making up to probably $1,000 a day to be a good operator for live gym. But it's not one of those things that's not always in demand. I'm good behind the camera. I don't do a ton of handheld work, but whatever is needed. I'm doing this weekend. I'm going to Key West doing powerboat racing. I'm doing a lot of racing with Green Light, this production company based out of England, and that's been really interesting. We do a lot of we do the Trans Am series racing, so TA2, GT, GT International, Super GT, SVRA, which is like classic cars, which I've been thinking about getting into because I have to be on these tracks. I got a membership for free to Sports Club Car of America, and I was just thinking about it. And I'm like, well, that's I got this free membership. All I need now is like a early '90s Mazda Miata, and I could get on that track. You'll see these SVRA races, and like 5 Miatas will go by, and they got minis and stuff like that, all these cool cars, cool classics. But those Miatas now are old enough that you can use them, and they are fast little, very maneuverable cars and cheap too. So I've been thinking about scoop one up and just put a roll cage in it, and get a couple friends together for my racing team.
Set it up.
Could be cool. Yeah, could be cool. But
so I guess to properly explain what you do, you work in, I guess, covering live sporting events, competitions and stuff.
Yeah, that's most of what I do. And some stuff I'll do post production, like next week or the week after. So next weekend's Key West. The weekend after that, I'm doing this. It's like a private party, like this fancy private party, and basically I'm just, it's like a 3-day party, and for 2 of them, I'm just going to be walking around, with a camera on a gimbal, just kind of doing candid shots and stuff to put together a video. I don't really like to edit, so and luckily for this job, I'm not editing either. Like I'm more like art in the moment, Like I want to shoot it. Yeah, I get the shot, and then I'm done. I walk away. My hands are clean. I wash my hands of this. It's all on you now. That's
I have
kind
an
of
idea of how this should look. You got it from here.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I did
Exactly. And it pays well,
I totally get
I
that.
mean,
There's definitely times that I'm like, wish I had somebody else that I could just do this and I didn't have to do any editing or stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So with like other projects, it's like, I'm going to trust you guys with like the video and stuff. I have the ideas. Let's just put it together.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely in the same boat. I've done a lot of editing. We used to do this thing where, so like for the dance season, we get to like nationals in late June, July, and like most of July is just nationals. And what we used to do for it is we still do a multi-camera final show. Like they do like 4 days of regular competition, and the final is on the 5th day, and they'll do like all the best dance routines that the judges like come back to recompete for like the grand championship, the national championship for wherever we are. And we do that with multicam. So I'm on the jib arm while I like that side action, the standard back camera. We got a little robot on tracks that goes across the front, the remote control in the back. Maybe a truss camera that's looking straight down at the stage. And anyway, we'll shoot that, stream it live. We'll and record it as we switch it live, and then we would offer a disc set of the whole day, like a DVD
so it's
set.
Like you guys, you're pretty much just collecting all the footage, and it's like we'll give you guys the footage to do whatever you want with it.
Not exactly, because we're not putting all the camera streams into one video. We're cutting it live, like it's directed live, and we're recording what we
so
cut.
You have the person. Is there like a switchboard?
Yeah, we have a director. Yeah, we'll have a director in the back. Yep. So we'll do it all, cut it all live, and we'll actually make individual files like that, so they can buy them right there. Like 5 seconds after the routine's done, they can walk up and grab it, digital file. But then we offer the DVD set of the whole battle day, and then we'll have to make those and ship them out. But when we were in peak season, we had the most amount of clients, which I'm really glad we don't anymore, because it was crazy. But when we did, I was doing between those final months, those months of finals, maybe like 15, 17 different battle days. And some of those were like 4 DVD sets. So figure you could fit about 2 hours of video, 1080 uncompressed onto a DVD. Yeah, it was a lot to edit. I would sit down and just cut stuff for 14 hours, 16 hours a day. And literally, like, I'd go to the office because it would kind of motivate me a little more than sitting at home. And I would just like work until like I had to fall on the floor and go to sleep, and then like wake up, grab a coffee next door, go right back in the office and just start editing. And it would take weeks, maybe a month sometimes, because you got to cut them all. If there was a bad cut, like there's no, like if it's a live cut they're getting at the show, it's like, it's what was broadcast. You're getting that. Okay. But like on the DVD set, if there's something messed up, it's like, well, you got to fix that. Oh, the lower third that came in for the team is wrong. So I got to, superimpose a new one on top of it. Or that cut was really bad. So we're going to like pull it from a different camera that I recorded. So it took a long time. I definitely got my fair share of batch editing video in there. And I got pretty quick at it, but it's not something I really want to do. It's not something I want to do for a career. Like I've seen a lot of jobs out there. There's a lot of job offers for editors. And they're like, yeah, we just need quick video, turn it around in like, a couple hours every day for this or that or whatever. And it just doesn't do it for me. I thought it would back in the day when I was learning, when I was in class for it. I was like, oh, this editing thing's cool. You can like make little movie magic, And now the only time I want to edit anything is like when I really am like into the project, like I shot it and I shot it and want to make sure that like my shot is portrayed the way I want it, But I don't do a lot of that these days. It's just, private projects don't pay. That's I'm the man behind the camera usually.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. I mean, I guess you can say that was with me with writing. Like I went to school for it, and I was like, all right, it's professional writing. This is what I want. And then it's like, nah, this is what.
You gotta try it out. You gotta dip your feet in the water. Yeah,
gotta like actually see and all that.
I went to school with no intention. I went to school with like going for liberal arts, and then somebody asked me one day to come down to the TV studio and give them a hand. I was like, there's a TV studio in this college? What? I went down there and I just, I grabbed the studio camera and I was like, okay, I think I might have to change my major.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. Like I walked into the studio and I walked into the control room and I saw that whole board lit up. And I don't know, is there something about light up buttons all over the place that just like sparks the imagination and you just can't get enough of it? Because I really just wanted to be on the board. I was like, oh, come on, I could do this. And then I'd put some good audio projects together. So most people actually, when they were building their crew for their project, because everyone took the class and like whoever's turn it was for the project, they crewed everything else, like lighting, sound, graphics. Everyone else was assigned a position by the person who was in charge. So I ended up in the audio section quite a bit. They really liked my productions that I already done the year before, because you do audio before video. And it's just where I ended up in the control room. But buttons, man, light up buttons, switches, come on, little joysticks for wipes and stuff. I mean, it really was pretty magical when I walked in there. It reminded me of going to Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. When we used to live in New Jersey, even when we lived in New York a little bit, but when we lived in New Jersey, my father would bring us to Teterboro Airport. And they had a functioning tower on one side of the airport. And on the other side, they had this tower that had been abandoned because they built a new one. But you could go up in it and check it out. And inside that, because it's all digital now, you have screens and shit, screens and the keyboard. But it was all switches, buttons, gauges, and all over the place. And it was just like the most magical thing in the world to go in there and just like start flicking switches and turning wheels and pressing buttons. It was really, I don't know what it is about it, but I just loved it. And I kind of got that feeling when I first walked into a TV studio control room. I was like, okay, this might be my home. Just changed into being behind the camera.
No, it's that thing of whatever makes you feel like a kid again, I guess you could say. You know,
Yeah.
I view stand up, I guess you could say, like Reader's Theater back at Chase Elementary School. That's essentially what it is for me. It's like, all right, cool. You're being a kid again and you enjoy it. Sometimes you just kind of take a step there. But like it's tough doing, I think, what you like. I'm not gonna say love or something like that. That's too extreme, I guess you could say. But like anything that you like to do or something, and when it becomes a job, I guess it's like sometimes hard to maintain the same passion, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It's hard for me to sit down. Like I do love what I do, you know. It affords me a lot of opportunities, you know, aside from just like the job itself. But, you know, for me, when they got like, you know, 6 and under tap dance come out for like half an hour. Yeah, it's cute. They're adorable, but it's real hard to keep my eyes open. You know, I've got a lot of those like, oh, yep, she's still on the camera. Oh, okay, wait, she's still there. You know, just dozing off a little, but you know, it's still I still enjoy doing it, even if it's just like just dance. You know, sure, I probably have seen it all at this point, but every now and then, you know, there's something new. I see something different. I like that I go to a different place to do it every time. You know, I like that it's, you know, there's different challenges every day that I'm working, and that's something I never got doing, you know, the old 9 to 5 or whatever, working in a warehouse, working in, you know, a supermarket, working in a pizzeria, you know, sewage treatment plant. You know, it's the same thing every day. You know,
Yeah.
paint this, serve that, you know, and you do it in the same place every day. And you know, I wasn't really, it wasn't something I was looking for in that sense. I was just, you know, I just knew I wanted to be in production. I didn't know what that would mean, but I felt like I had a knack for it, and I pursued it, and I'm still pursuing it. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't have a ton of like I'm not booked that often. It's like if I'm trying to find that happy medium, I guess, you know, because I like the fact that because I'm still like with UAP, I do run the video side of the production house, so like that's a clear and present responsibility. But I don't have to necessarily hire myself to shoot. I can hire whoever else I want. And aside from that, I'm a 1099 for everything else. I'm a 1099 for everything. So I like that, you know, like when I was when I was in Wurtsboro and I was, you know, just dicking around that pizzeria, you know, easy job, low stress, but, you know, I was there 6 days a week, and it was like there wasn't really an option to do anything else. It was like if I wanted a day off, you know, I'm asking for it weeks or months in advance, and it's just a day off, you know. And I understand, like, you know, like those bigger, more corporate jobs or whatever, they give you a little more time off here and there. You get like these sick weeks or whatever. You get vacation weeks, but I could take a month off or 2 months off whenever I want and just not do anything or go somewhere and do whatever I want. And having that kind of freedom, I feel like, is maybe the best part of being like in my field and being like a 1099, you know, and doing sports video, because you get that flexibility, you know, you're, you know, and in my position, I don't have a lot of responsibilities. So it's like, it's pretty easy. You know, if I had a family and stuff, I guess I would be a little more like, I'd try a little harder, I guess, to be busy. But, you know, I just don't feel like I should be killing myself just to make money when I'm like, well, I have enough, right? And I'm, you know, living comfortably. So, you know, it just affords the opportunity to be able to try different things, to try out, you know, like, because then I can, you know, I can book other jobs. Doesn't even have to be you know, a video gig. Maybe I want to get back into audio stuff, or maybe I just want to do my own personal project, but at least I have the opportunity to do it. And unfortunately, I don't do a lot of personal projects, because there is that association when you whip out your computer to start editing something or shoot something. It's like, it's not work. You want to do this, but then in the back of your head, you're like, but I do this all the time for money. Why would I do this for no money? And it's like, there's like a little bit of a mental block, I think, with that, but it's still, yeah, it makes it, it's been making life pretty easy for me.
You said the key word of that freedom to actually do something. I mean, usually, I work nights. Those are dog shit hours, but one, I get to avoid customers and stuff like that. So there's a plus there.
Yep.
But it is that repetitive dead endness or something. Like, I know when I just do a open mic or something in the city, and then I come back and I got to go to work, then the real job, I guess, or not really. And I've been offered full time, and I think my response every time is that I haven't given up on life yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is my general feeling on it. And I know if I probably could have just taken a position, gone down that line, pretty much have my life all set up and all that. But at the end of the day, it's like I probably wouldn't be doing this, and I would have just been miserable, much like I am now working there. But I wouldn't have an outlet. I wouldn't have anything. It would be me coming home and waiting to go back the next day. This is like, hey, this is a part-time job. I'm going to treat you guys like a part-time job. I'll see you when I see you, and I'll do my own thing. Actually, yeah. I actually almost got fired today, oddly enough. I was, I usually don't work Thursday. I don't work Thursday into Friday, but I get my vacation week next week to go do stuff I want to. So it's like, all right, a little extra cash isn't going to hurt. So went and did it. And I'm already like pissed off down there or something. And you pick up all the dead stock at the end of the night. So I bring it back. I have to climb over some pallets, put it onto the carts and all that. And all I got left is these 2 seasonings, I guess you can say, packs, like 8 packs. So I just toss them at the carts. People that like scans and checks everything. He comes in and he's like, why'd you do that? And he just gets all mad. And then I got called into the principal's office for quote unquote damaging product or something. And I'm just sitting there and they're like, I understand your frustration. You got to come. I was like, no, that's not my frustration. You want to know what my frustration is? And I went in a little and then I like stopped myself. It's like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to wait because I got my vacation after next week. So it's like, let me just get through the next week and then I get my vacation. This way I don't get screwed out of that vacation, that paid vacation week. So
yeah,
it's playing that game until you can actually. It's not being too committed to a job, I guess, sometimes. I've never settled with a job, I guess you could say, as it's good and bad. Oh, yeah. But sometimes, I don't know, for me, you and me are kind of similar spot, we don't have a family we got to raise or anything like that. So we kind of have that freedom. It's like, well, I might as well just enjoy this freedom I got. So, I have no responsibilities other than to myself.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, it's not a bad situation. It really isn't, and yeah, I like having you gotta have, openings for opportunity. Because life's always throwing opportunity your way. You just, sometimes you're too busy to see it. Sometimes you just don't have the opportunity to take it. And I think that's what a lot of people have really come across in their lives over the last year and a half or whatever through the pandemic. That's part of this, the great resignation here. That's why so many people are just like quitting their jobs. They're like, oh, well, they've probably saved up some of that pandemic money, saved up from their jobs. And they're just like, there's something better than maybe, and there's nothing wrong with being, a food server or something,
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with working at fast food. There's nothing wrong with it. I long for the days where it was, that simple. And, they're all up in their pay, to try and hold on to workers now. So it's getting a little closer to like a livable wage, almost comfortable for a single person.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I know Walmart up here. I think they're starting at like $20 an hour, which when we were
which
kids, it's like
we would have
like
felt like we were rich.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, 10. It was like wow,
I
10
was
was
pushing
great.
carts
10
in
was great.
Walmart parking lot for 20. I didn't even make 10. I pushed carts in Walmart parking lot for like $8 an hour, And then they put me in charge of. They saw that I knew how to fix the bottle return machines because
No,
like
so you
people
went
would
full
complain, and I
maintenance.
was supposed to call somebody, and I'm like, all right. And finally, I just took their key and I started like fixing it myself. And they're like, "Oh, you know these machines?" I'm like, "Well, I figured them out." And they're like, "Okay, you're in charge of them now." And I did that for like, you know, pushing carts and taking care of those machines for a few weeks. And I was just like, "This is fucked. I'm not, I'm not doing this anymore."
Well, Lex, I think we've reached a good halfway point. When we come back, discuss a little more. I'd like to get into your travels. We were talking a little on the places you've been and the few places you have left. So I'd like to get into that. But we'll get into that right after this. And we're back. Hey guys, hope you've been enjoying this conversation with my big brother, Mr. Lex Berson. We were talking about, your job and all that, working through the pandemic. I'm sure it was difficult. As you said, things kind of slowed down during the pandemic, but,
Wacky. It did slow down to a halt for a while there when I was Uber driving.
it's right.
Got to do something. Our industry really was first to go. It was like early March in 2020, and they were like, "Yeah, that's going to be the end of stuff for you guys for a while," because everything we do, whether I'm shooting sports or cheer and dance or whatever, it always involved a lot of people together. So that went to the wayside real quick. That's actually how I got into the racing because it was one of the first things to come back. And they hit me up, because one of the guys I work with, Logan, had gone over to work with them, and he's like, "Hey, I know this really, this great operator. Maybe you will bring him on." And they brought me on. They liked what I did, and that's basically how I got into it. But racing was easy because the drivers are alone, the spectators aren't anywhere near anybody, and then during COVID there were basically no spectators, and that's one of the big reasons to shoot it, to broadcast it. And yeah, even when you're working, like I'm somewhere, off the track all day alone. There's nobody anywhere near us, and yeah, it was nice to be able. It was like the first thing I really did coming back from the lockdown, and then we got into everything else, and they started to do cheer and dance competitions, but like cycle in spectators, so like only spectators of like one studio or one gym were in there at a time. And then for dance they were like, all right, we only do it one studio at a time, so they brought in one studio, they do all their acts, then they spray everything down, and it was difficult.
Mm.
It made the days a lot longer. It made the money come in a lot slower because in the end, even though the days were longer, we had less people, less contestants, less routines, less people watching. But here we are, we're back. We're almost back to business as usual, right? Getting
Almost there.
close.
Almost there. But like I was saying before, things shut down, you were traveling a lot. I remember even probably before I got into stand up, you were posting videos of your journeys and stuff like that, of the stuff you were doing.
Yeah, I don't post a lot, but I do try and post if I'm out somewhere neat, or see something cool. But yeah, I'm not huge on social media, but I do participate. I'm not just a watcher or whatever. I feel like there's a lot of people on Facebook who like just don't interact, but you see them liking everything. It's like
No, yeah.
you know
The stalkers.
yeah,
So,
you know
no.
every now and then you need a little escape. I think there's definitely something good to say about social media. There's plenty of bad things. We all know those bad things, but there are some good things too. Everything in moderation, right?
Now, did you have I guess a favorite place you've been to?
There's been a lot of cool places. There've been a lot of cool cities that I didn't expect. Texas was a big one. I had this totally different view of Texas. And then I think about 4 years ago, we took on this client that was based in Texas, one of our clients for UEP. And it just had me going out there all the time. And I didn't know what to expect, really. I didn't only, been in Texas a couple times before then, maybe like 4 or 5 times, for an event that I couldn't cover. Because I actually had some Texas guys for a while that I just would have cover all my Texas stuff. And I started going out there and I just kind of fell in love with it. Like, there's so many cool places out there. I really like the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Really cool, very chill. Houston, not so much, but it's on the way to Galveston. So we'd always fly into Houston, drive to Galveston. That was really cool. I liked a lot of those beach towns. And of course, Austin is awesome. I mean, it's Austin. Austin is.
I thought you said Boston. Yeah. I was like, Boston?
Oh, no. Boston's cool too. I was just there a month or so ago with Juliet, actually. Yeah, we had this little video project we were working on up there. But yeah, Boston's cool. I like Boston. Kind of weird roads. It's like, I don't know if you've ever driven around in the city, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I went there once. It's definitely interesting, to say the least. But I will say it was surprisingly clean, but I guess that's coming from New York.
Yeah,
so.
Compared to New York, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the nicest, cleanest cities I've ever been in, Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah?
Minneapolis is beautiful. I love that city. Minneapolis, St. Paul is so freaking cool. Really nice up there. Great food. Brits Pub in downtown Minneapolis. If you're ever there, get the Guinness pot roast. It will change your life.
The Guinness pot roast.
Yeah. Huh. It's truly amazing. Yeah. I like that whole area up there. I spent some time in Duluth. Really pretty. Duluth? Real pretty, right by the lake. That whole area is really nice. I just saw, where were we? We were outside of Chicago a couple months ago, and I saw my first red wolf. They're basically like they're like a mixture of gray wolf and coyote. I think they're supposedly like mostly like 70% coyote or something like that. But yeah, they're only really in that area. It looked like a big ass fox. Like, it looked like a big fox, and at first I thought it was, and it's like running down the tracks chasing something. And I'm out. I was out with one of the crew guys after we were done, just having a smoke, and the thing just like darts past us on these railroad tracks, and we're like, "What the fuck was that?" And I couldn't even, because his back was to it. I couldn't even tell him. I couldn't open my mouth. I just pointed because it was moving so fast. So you'd look at it, But you never know what you're gonna find in this beautiful land of ours. I worked a lot out in did a lot of West Coast stuff early on in my video career, and I was always I was flying around that area, and I'm flying over the Rockies one day, and I'm just looking down at it like, man, that is truly epic, right? And after that season was over, I just got in my car and I drove around the country pretty much aimlessly for about a month and a half, and got to see a lot of that stuff, because you're just flying over it. I'm taking, when the season's peaking, I'm out there every weekend, taking a flight on Friday morning, coming back Monday morning, or Thursday morning, coming back Monday morning, usually my schedule. And I've just, spent so much time above everything. I just wanted to see it and really experience it. Yeah. That trip I did Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, Rocky Mountain National, and Yosemite on that trip.
So you went right around the Rockies. It was a Rockies
trip.
Yeah,
just kind of hanging around that general area. Had to drive the California coast, and check that out all the way. Well, not all the way, most of the way. And I made little detours, see the redwoods out there, which I hope are still there. I mean, yeah, a lot of hardship out there with fires. I know that's been tough. My aunt actually lost her house out there, and she was in the middle of, I was glad I got to see her place, really cute little place, but in the middle of nowhere, California, going south from San Francisco. It's not I want to say it was like a quarter of the way down to LA, an hour or so. Anyway, deep in the woods, and then taking these the windiest roads I think I've ever taken to get to her place. But once you're there, and there's those giant redwoods that are just like towering over you, it's crazy. It's like a whole different world until you get to LA, and then it's like, oh, I know this traffic. Feels like I'm trying to go over the GW.
I hear LA traffic's way worse though.
Well, yeah, that probably is the worst traffic I've been in the entire country. A close second maybe would be the DC area. The DC
Yeah.
area gets really bad, but yeah, LA, especially because what we would do is I used to work in Anaheim a lot. I still do every now and then, but it was like several times a year for a little while, and we'd always fly into LAX because saving money. And then you got to drive to Anaheim, which is theoretically should only take you like 40 minutes. Theoretically. Yeah. That drive is horrible. As soon as it's like past, 5 a.m., don't even bother. I remember driving somebody. I was driving we had a big crew once, two transport vans, and I was driving one of them. Bringing the crew back from Anaheim to LAX, and one of our crew, she said she had left a really expensive camera flash in her room, like $1,000 camera flash, and like some knitting stuff because that's what she was doing in her downtime. And my flight was like 3 hours away, and it only took 40 minutes to drive you there at 4:30 in the morning. So I'm like, yeah, that's only an hour and a half, maybe, So it took me, about 45 minutes to get back. And then I turned around and it took me 2.5 hours to get back to the airport. Totally missed my flight by a long shot. But yeah, that's that kind of traffic where, 40-minute drive turns into a 2.5-hour drive just because it's rush hour. Rush hours. There are several rush hours in LA. And I'd never lived there.
I think it's like a nice visit, but to actually live out there,
it's like Vegas. Vegas was real cool to see. First time I went out there, I was so stupid. I thought like, oh, it's Vegas, it's desert, right? It's gonna be hot and stuff. But I went like mid-December, and I went with this thin hoodie. And you know what? Vegas gets cold, like cold. Like it could snow there. I didn't know it could snow there. I made the same mistake right here to Atlanta. We had Cheersport one year, and that's mid-February, and it's in Atlanta, huge event. And I'm like, oh, it's only like a 6-hour drive from Orlando or so. How much colder could it be there? Well, it fucking snowed. So you never know. That's why I'm totally fine with winter in Florida. There's only one state that it does not snow in. So in one state that I'm not scraping ice off my windshield, guaranteed. Not doing that, and that's Florida. Every other state in the country last winter got some shitty snow or ice or whatever.
Texas,
we're just chilling. Even deep in Texas, down in San Antonio, which is another cool place I like in Texas. San Antonio is real cool. You ever there? Do the river walk in San Antonio? Very cool. They actually have boat tours as well. You don't have to do the boat tour, but the boat tour is cool because they tell you all the history about it. And like, because they had like old forts and stuff there, and they left some of the old architecture, brickwork. It's really cool. San Antonio is another chill place in Texas, man. I'm telling you, Texas is cool.
Yeah, it seems like it. All the talks of those. I know also thing that you would always post. I don't know if it was saying. I know it's for me whenever I go somewhere now. Like I don't know. I'm a hotel connoisseur, I guess you could say. That I just like. I like shooting out my hotel.
I've had my fair share.
As like
I used to write a lot of Yelp reviews, because I felt like, after my first 100 hotels, I was like, okay, maybe I should give my 2 cents, and
my opinion.
I started doing it. Yeah, now the only time I give a Yelp review is when it's like really bad, and I'm just like I gotta tell somebody,
Do you have a worse experience, I guess, in that?
Oh, dude. I can't even, there's so many. This one time in Atlanta, we were staying, oh God, it was like a Motel 6. It was so bad. And we had a huge crew. Like it was like 8 performance floors that year, 3 awards floors. So we had easily like 25, 30 people plus all the temps. So probably like 30 photographers and managers, and then, all the temps and everything. We're all staying at this hotel, and we're all, generally we share rooms, we do the double queen, especially when it's like that, boss man's like, we gotta save some money, So we're doubled up. I'm with this guy, Eddie. He's a real cool guy, great roommate. And every day we go into the lobby of this Motel 6 thing, and every time we go through, at least 1 or 2 people ask us if we want drugs. Like at least 1 or 2 people every time we walk in there. And then this one night we come back, and like it was already kind of gross, and it just felt dirty. We walk in and we go up to our room, and the door's open. We're like, that's interesting. And we walk in, the TV's on. We didn't leave the TV on. It was like somebody was hanging out in our room just dicking around, and it smelled kind of like somebody was smoking, like a cigarette. It was a pretty bad one. It was one of the ones where you walk in, every now and then you walk in. I don't check for bed bugs every time I walk into a hotel room, but if it looks skeevy enough, I'm gonna pull the sheets off and take the phone light out and just like run that thing along the edge and
that's
take a look.
definitely where I get a little picky on that. That's like, yeah, I could go with the really cheap one here, where it's like, yeah, it's like $40, but
exactly, like, but I might be bringing home bed bugs or something worse, Yeah. It's hard to find that happy medium. I think there's like a bell curve of hotels, like so at the beginning of that bell curve, you got like that Motel 6 bullshit where like, you're not gonna get anything good, but they might have breakfast. They're gonna give you breakfast at the end of at the beginning of the bell curve, and then as the hotel gets nicer, this is the breakfast bell curve. As it gets nicer, breakfast actually doesn't get nicer. And then towards the top of the bell curve, you got to pay for breakfast, And these are nice places, like a decent place, you're going to pay more than $100 a night probably. And then as you go further down the bell curve, you get into those places that are just like really nice. Like you're going to pay like $500 to $1,000 a night. And those places start feeding you breakfast for free again. So like there's this bell curve at the top. You don't get breakfast. There's no free breakfast or lunch. and that's just how I grade these hotels now. This balance of food, because that's kind of important to me.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, you got to. It's tough out there sometimes, because I work on a day rate, if my day is like 4 or 5 hours long, or if it's 14 hours long, I'm getting paid the same.
Yeah.
So oftentimes it's the latter, and I'm working pretty crazy hours, but the trade-off is like, I'll work for 12, 14 hours on Saturday and Sunday, and maybe half of the day I'll be shooting on Friday, and the other half I'll be setting up or something. And it's pretty busy, because I'm leaving my house at like 4 o'clock in the morning or something to catch that early flight on Friday morning, and then setting up half the day, shooting the second half of the day, and then all day Saturday and Sunday, flying home Monday morning. And like the hours are long, it can be a lot of work, but I really only work for 3 days of the week. You bring home $1,500 for that or something. So it's like this trade-off of like a lot of work all put together into a couple days, and then I get more time to myself afterwards. So it's definitely the way to go, I think. I don't understand why more people don't do it. And I think that's the whole thing. It circles back to people are examining their lives now and being like, okay, I want to do something different with it. I was just sitting on set the other day with a friend of mine, and we're watching, I guess on a movie set, they'd be a gaffer, electrical, production assistant generally, or whatever, on like a sports set or whatever. Anyway, they're rolling out cable. Actually, I think they were winding it up at the end of the day. like, and just like it's hard work. I've done that, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, why doesn't that guy try to be an operator like us?
Mm.
It's a tough job. It's just a lot of work, and he's probably making like half of what we're making, and we just have to, as an operator, a lot of the time sometimes you don't even do your own buildup. You just show up, camera's there, you don't bring any of your own gear, and you just hop on it and do your thing. And then when you're done, you walk away and somebody else cleans it up. So that's what it's like on the higher end of sports. On the lower end, I'm running all the cable, setting up everything, doing the networking, the whole thing. And I do both all, from one job to another. When it comes to UAP, I'm in charge of all that stuff. So I have to make sure that all that technical stuff's taken care of. That's also, that's part of my responsibility. As an operator, I just don't understand how these guys will sit on set and see us doing our thing and not be like, I want to do that too, like, you just got to want to do it, basically.
I think it goes back to what we were kind of touched on earlier, where, just positions in life sometimes. Like, I might hate my job, and I definitely, when I throw that line of, I haven't given up on life yet or something like that, they could take that as a dig at them or something for being full time. It's not. It's whatever works for you or something. So
yeah, I mean, everyone's got a different way they perceive their life turning out, and a different way they see their career turning out. And yeah, I totally get that.
I mean, if I could retire into a little cabin in the woods, I'd be happy. I don't need. I think, like, definitely since I entered, I guess you can say, the entertainment field, you hear the comparisons. It's like, oh, well, you're going to be like the next Kevin Hart. There's a guy at work that says that to me every time he sees me. Every day, I just kind of like, no, I'm not. But please, can you just stop saying that or something? So
yeah, like, you don't need to make these comparisons. Like, you're your own person. You're your own comedian. You do it your way.
Yeah, it's just depends on what you want, and whatever. Yeah, ultimately is whatever makes you happy. If you've also said that, this last year, a lot of people kind of doing a reflection and being like, wait, am I actually happy?
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of jobs aren't equipped for that. They don't really consider that. So it's a little easier to walk away from a place or something like that when means to end. You're a number or something, I guess you could say. There's no commitment from both ends, essentially. So it's often like I say, it's like, this is just a job. I'm just here working.
Yeah, it's just something for now. We're in the middle of your passion right now. This is passion, making podcasts, making stuff, like things that you actually really, can give yourself to, can give your all to.
And I think people can do that, even working at McDonald's. Or like I guess my quote throughout the pandemic to people is just like, just do something, figure out something, because it's easy to sit around and complain about how life is going or something, or you could actually get up and do something.
That was the only argument I could even make for when we were seeing those the guys from engineering, like, wrapping up cable and stuff. It's like, yeah, maybe they just don't want the stress of what we do, and maybe that's ideal for them. It is it's a stressful position, I suppose, to have to. It's live. There's no take two. It's like, you get it or you don't. And if you don't, then, you miss one shot or two all day, it's not the end of the world. You start missing more, you might not have a job next week. That's the thing about 1099 is, like, you're only as good as your last job. You fuck up too much, they're never going to hire you again. It is, I suppose it's stressful in that sense. I mean, you're always getting feedback too. Like, how many jobs do you have where your boss is in your ear the entire time you're doing it, like, telling you exactly what to do?
But that's the other only reason I work nights, is that I only have to see, like, the managers for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And the trick is just keep busy so they don't want to talk to you. Or
yeah, I mean, that just means, less people to deal with, right?
like I said, it's just a job. I'm there. I don't know why. Night shift has its perks and its negatives, and probably the biggest negative is, like, daytime. Like, the reason I don't do video really is because I look like I'm half alive right now, because I don't usually. It's like, all right, I gotta set up, and all right, I gotta record after, so I'll just stay up. So, I usually work on almost 24 hours, record, do my thing, but there's more reward from doing that, I guess you could say. You actually,
Yeah.
like, people often ask, like, about money for the podcast. It's, oh, are you getting paid for that? It's like, yeah, in other ways. I'm not.
It's not all about money.
No, it's the
Exactly.
happiness and shit. And this gives me an excuse to reach out and talk to people that I haven't talked to in a while, and find out what's going on over there. And it it builds new connections and shit like that. So there's other benefits, and I think it's very one-sided when people just view jobs or something solely on the money. I think you lose something when you do that. So I've just made it a point to
your mind.
yeah. So I've always made it a point at places that I work that it's like, I don't really care if you fire me. It's not, I kind of take that off the table, because that's usually like the threat or something. It's like, I'm going to do a good job, so you're not going to have a reason to fire me, but I also don't care. And especially now with the pandemic, it's just like, go ahead, fire me. I'll make more money on unemployment than I did here. So
Yeah. I ended up not collecting anything. I didn't even take my stimulus check. I just sat around and waited, and when nothing happened, they were like, yeah, we're still in a pandemic, and the numbers haven't, like, in that first lockdown, they're like, okay, well, we've at least plateaued a bit, like the numbers weren't climbing like crazy. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's something. But I spent, months sitting in my house here, just, doing nothing. Then it came down to money. And I was like, okay, well, I need to do something. That's where the Uber driving comes in. No people, just food. But
yeah, you need to do something to keep some semblance of sanity. It's like,
yeah, it was,
like,
obviously I needed, to make some money, but I needed to do something. It was that. And I'll tell you what else I did, actually, over lockdown. I ended up working with this DJ. He'd have a little camera. He recorded himself doing his DJ thing too. And he'd have a Zoom party and just invite all these people, so he'd have a big Zoom room, and then, it kind of, he'd feature different people from the Zoom, like you can do, like just pick out people for the whatever the main display there. And, it was like interactive. So through a friend, we got hooked up, and he wanted some more production values. So I was like, well, I got all these cameras and everything sitting around doing nothing. So I just brought all these cameras, switcher, everything to his house. We had the overhead cam, green screen cam, little side cam, so you could see him interacting with the people on Zoom, like on his computer, and then a handheld cam to do, cool, crazy shit with. And we just turned into this whole full production. Then we'd have drinking games and stuff. Every time you heard the Law and Order sound, you'd be like, dun dun, all right, everybody drink. And then costume contests and stuff. And the whole time we're like featuring people, like switching between our cameras, and then like all the people who were like really participating, or felt like they wanted to be a part of the show. And then they lifted lockdown here, and we took it to a local bar in Orlando, downtown, and we would do pretty much the same thing, except we had the big old Megatron screen they had, because it was a sports bar. And we just put everybody up there. And then I had cameras up in the balcony, so you could see yourself on the Megatron with all the people like looking at you. And it just felt like that's what people needed throughout that time, like, because nobody could go out. And like, we were the first people, like, almost in the country to be able to go out, Florida. Yeah. So they were like, fuck it, And it felt like doing something helpful for the people who are tuning in, at least, Plus it gave me something to do. Didn't pay very well. It was all Venmo donations, like, hey, donate on Venmo, We didn't push it hard or anything, just, but it was a little extra scratch on top of all that driving I was doing. And it was something to do during this whole craziness. But yeah, we're back at it, man. I've probably taken, like, I don't know, 40 flights at least since lockdown ended. I was really concerned about that too, being on a plane, like, because I don't care what HEPA filter you got in there. We're all sharing that air in that aluminum fart tube. If a guy 3 hours ahead of me farts and I can smell it, then I'm definitely getting his COVID too.
Yeah, true. It's crazy. This health message brought to you by Lex Berson.
This PSA.
PSA. There it is.
Yeah.
But no, Lex, thank you so much for coming on. I think I've kept you here for, about almost an hour and a half now. People only get to hear an hour of this. I always love telling people the time when they start out, they're like, I don't know what we're going to talk about for an hour. It's like, don't worry, it'll go. You'll see.
Well, you make it easy for me to talk because, I think because we know each other so well.
That's probably,
Honestly, I love talking about myself. Come on.
Of course.
Well, if you got to edit it down, pick out some good stuff, Maybe.
But Lex, as you know, usually since you do listen to the show, you do know. Usually at this point, I usually offer a chance for the person to promote. I think you've already promoted the vaccine. I don't know if there's anything else that you like.
That's important. What else to promote? I don't know. My Instagram is lexicon84. If you want to see where I am. Whenever I go somewhere, I usually take a picture or two, but it's often just on my story. So tune in for that. Watch Trans Am Series Racing. It's often all over the place. I'll find it on YouTube, Facebook, all that shit. I don't know.
All right, thanks. And guys, as always, if you're listening to this podcast, great. Hit that like, subscribe, or whatever is offered to you on whatever platform you are listening to this on. And of course, if you'd like to reach out and talk to me, and you can do so at the TommyTom88 on Twitter and TommyTomP88 on Instagram. Lex, once again, thank you for agreeing to come onto the podcast, talk, reconnect.
Thanks for having me.
Happy to talk to you. And everyone, we'll catch you all next time.
I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Flip personality, you know it's I. You never seen my kind, never seen a fucking sliver or a slice. I'm the butcher, choice cuts, know I'm nice. You got beef? I got waggle with a knife. Now I'm gonna be wrapping up bodies up at night. Like Ray Charles, y'all know I'm out of sight. Now I'm gonna be slaying niggas, cause you know I love the life. Yo, you gotta read between the lines. I'm only gonna be moving when I'm read through all the signs. Johnny Mnemonic, I got an upgraded mind. This is for the rebels and the revolutionary minds. Cybernetic linguistics, you know I'm on my mind. Prototype the new dimension, man, that shit is mine. Future is creation and creation is sublime. Make your own legend, only happens with time.